So hope everyone is seeing. Good morning, everyone. My name is Maria, and this is Bruno. We are BI specialists at DevScope. DevScope is a company that is located in Portugal. So let's go. Bruno, are you sleeping?
Yes, Maria, I am, because as you know, this is only 9 a.m. in Portugal. So this is a Saturday. I'm not used to wake up at this time. So I'm a little confused. I'm seeing that he's saying something and you are showing a veil, but where are we going? Can you help me wake up?
So we are on a trip. We are in a bus with data to go to Data Weekender. Don't you see the driver who is driving right now?
Oh, yeah, I remember. So yes, the driver is Dataflow. Yes, we have a journey to go with Dataflow. Yes, you're right. Thank you, Marie. Thank you.
Exactly. So our session is about Dataflows Gen2, and we will start to talk about a little bit about them, what they are, who is affected, who can benefit, where is this taking place, where does it make sense, why is this important in the big picture. Then we will let the data flow and finish our trip with some considerations and limitations, and I think we will have some time to questions and answers. But feel free to talk in the chat and put your questions, and we can answer them along our journey.
Okay, so sorry, this will be.
Can I just ask both of you just quick thing? Is that, I mean, do you guys have got any breakpoints to take up questions, or you want to take up questions in the end?
We will have a few minutes in the middle of the middle of the demos, and if we see something in the chat, we can stop to answer. But yes, we will have at least 2, 3. If we count to the end of the session, 3 places where we can stop and answer questions.
Of course. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, Bruno, what do you want to question me?
I don't want to question anything. I want to invite everyone to join us in this journey, to get on board and go and see wherever Dataflow will take us, right?
Exactly.
So, thinking about Dataflows Gen2, and we are going in a journey during this session, I start using them, but I'm not so comfortable, and I need, and this is the point of this session, I need to understand them. So I was used to take advantage of Dataflow Gen1. Is that related? Do you know Dataflow Gen1?
Yes, I'm telling you that I'm a big fan of Dataflow Gen1, but Gen2 is just a new generation of Dataflows. So this is happening in Fabric, okay? So like Dataflow Gen1, these Dataflows will offer a way to prepare, transform our data, and basically integration and transformation of our sources. We have several data transformations available for preparing our data. We have hundreds of data sources, connectors. So in this case, we have a new feature that Dataflows will allow us to work with. That is the loading of our data in different destinations like lakehouses and warehouses, because all of this is happening in Fabric, and you can take advantage of some new features that Fabric will bring to our Power BI service.
Okay, so I'm starting to understand. I feel that. Can you help me to understand? Okay, they are that. You resume it. Who will be able to use them, and who will take advantage of them?
So, like in Gen 1, this is the same logic. We have here basically a Power Query experience and a locate user interface that will allow some of the business users or Power BI developers to build some data flows. We have here as well the possibility to work with some AI artifacts in this environment, and so that way data scientists will take advantage of these data flows as well. And then we are talking about all of these in Fabric with all of other components of the Fabric, so data engineers will have a role in here as well. But I think the main group of people that will use data flows will be the power users and business users that work with Power BI every day.
Okay, so you are saying that pretty much everyone will be able to use them.
Exactly.
So they are very, okay, so I'm expecting that you will show how intuitive and easy they can be, even if they will be able to do complex things.
Exactly.
Okay.
The idea is exactly that.
Where will they be placed or work, or where we will build them?
So like I said to you earlier, this Gen2 is a feature in Data Factory that is within Fabric.
Okay.
So all of this is a upgrade from Gen1, because in here we have lakehouses and warehouses, and we'll take advantage of these artifacts. So the lakehouse will allow us to stage the data that we are using, and warehouse will work as a compute engine to write back results to staging or to supported output destinations. Okay, so you can see in here that we have here a small architecture that our engine from Dataflows will work with lakehouse and warehouse, and we can actually add a destination, output destination for our data. So,
so how much time do we need to build those things and put them working together?
We don't have to worry about that,
no?
Because at first place, when you build a data flow in your Fabric workspace,
Okay.
All of these objects will be built out of the box. We don't have to worry about them. This is
the list that you are showing right down on the right.
Exactly, because in first place, we have a lakehouse, a SQL endpoint for that, a warehouse as well, a default data set for the lakehouse and for the warehouse.
Okay, everything from out of the box.
Exactly. This is just ghost files for now. This will disappear in the future in the workspace, but right now, when you build a new data flow, these objects will appear in your workspace.
Okay, that is great, because we will know how it's working in the back. Even in the future, they will be hidden.
Exactly.
But it will create that list that we are showing for each data flow we create in the workspace.
No, it's just these items are the same for all the data flows that will exist in your workspace.
Okay.
These will appear in the first data flow, but in the future, the other data flows will use these ones to set up all of this.
Okay, makes sense. Okay, and that's very a nice approach. Okay, so pretty much everyone can use it. They are working in the data factory in Fabric. That's still in preview, right?
Yes.
Okay, they are an empowerment of Dataflow Gen1. They can do what the other ones can, and they do more, right?
Yes.
Okay, so when it will be like Gen1, or where does make sense to use them? Where can we put them?
Okay, like a big fan of data flows, like I said, I will say always.
Always, always.
No, not always. It's just a joke. Of course, it's not always, because we have to basically see our total scenario and decide which pieces of the puzzle we want to use. And in many scenarios, data flows will be that key, that special key that will fit in the whole architecture. But just a note, because these data flows they are still in preview, like you said and you mentioned, and right now this is not the best performance solution right now. But for example, for some dimension tables, some master data, or some configuration tables that users many times have in Excel files in the organization, or even in some more small databases, transactional transactions, I think this will where Dataflows will fit. Okay.
Okay.
This is important just to mention that the idea of the Dataflows is to help the users to centralize the data preparation, to reuse all of this data and create some automation behind all this data integration.
I like the Gen 1, but I'm loving Gen 2. I'm loving what you are explaining, what they can offer. So my next question will be, why? I'm feeling that I have already the answer because of the things that you already explained, but why are they so important in this big picture, in these all tools that are existing right now in Fabric, and you can use all of them?
I think this question will resume all the things that we already said, right? Because we see here this is main for non-technical users that will use this for self-service BI. So we talk about the how faster we can do this because we already know the Power Query and you know how to build a data flow because of the Dataflow Gen1, and because we will allow the reuse
of the data, right, in a central place.
Exactly.
Okay. That is very great. Okay, I'm loving what you are explaining. I'm feeling that they can do a lot of things. So my expectations are very high. So I need to say, if you have something that we can show how they work, so we understand really that they will be important because they are easy to use, easy to implement, and they can do complex things.
Yes, we can. We have here a Fabric workspace that we can work with. So I think right now we have the crossroad. So you have to decide: do we start with the simple way, or we go and turn to the complex way right now?
That is a tricky question because I want to see things complex. But as we are starting with Dataflow Gen2, I believe we should start with a simple road first and then evolve to a complex one. We and me, myself, will be empowerment of the knowledge.
So, okay, let's go to the simple way, but do you have any scenario that you have that you want to see how to fit the data flow?
Yes, I have, because I have a customer that had a little challenge, a small challenge. That customer had data that he was integrating every day, sales data that he wants to analyze through different dimensions. And for example, for that data, he was in the tool he is using and he paid for manage his data. He was missing some records in the dimensions. Sometimes he has records with, for example, a zip code that they don't have the rest of the hierarchy for that zip code. So the default tool they are using is not having all the mapping for that dimension that is geography for them. So he needed to implement something to map manually some values and then add them to his data so the data will be complete. And back then we used Dataflow Gen1. We have a Dataflow grabbing files from Excel that they were mapping, and we had an automated process to get that list that was not mapped. And then we used the Dataflow Gen1 to append the data in our model to have a complete list. That was the first challenge that we used Gen1. And the second challenge was they needed a different level to analyze the products, a different level in the hierarchy that allows to analyze the data by product. So they build a similar thing. They build manually in an Excel file a year key that they want to see, and that we use already. We used back then also Dataflow Gen1.
So I'm seeing that you want to start with your Dataflow Gen1 and add some more dimensions at this process, right?
But is that possible? Can you reuse my Gen1?
Of course we can. Of course you can.
Okay.
But just to make sure that I understand well, we have here some dimensions in a SQL database and some files stored in SharePoint that we will use to map some of the dimensions that we have already in the database, right?
Correct.
We already have Dataflow Gen1 to do all this implementation of mapping files. So yes, I agree that we can reuse them. Just to show you that I will use a Fabric workspace, like I said.
Okay.
And I will put all of your data in a lakehouse. So then you can use and abuse.
So I can be, okay, so I don't need to replicate all the things that I were doing in different models.
No.
Because every time I needed to append my lines, I need to replicate that logic.
Yes, the idea is to store all of this data in the lakehouse, and all of your data sets or all of your analysis will be in the lakehouse. We'll use all the data.
And Dataflows Gen2 will help us doing that.
Exactly. So can I show you?
I know, please do.
So in the first place, I will show you some of the architecture that we are, I'm thinking. So we have some sources, we have SQL database, we have some files. We don't know how to ingest this, right?
Okay.
And then we will store these in the lakehouse, and then you can use this in a model and build some reports for your needs. So I think you are seeing where we are going. So we are using our principal piece.
Okay, so we will let us be guided by Dataflows Gen2. Okay, and so, we'll be the missing piece. Thank you.
Our missing piece will fit in here, and our Dataflow Gen2 will be the middleman between the source and the store.
Okay, I want to see how you will reuse the Gen1 Dataflows.
So we have some options.
To do this implementation.
Yes, we have some options. So, but I will show you in Power BI service or in the Fabric, is more correct to say. So I go to our Power BI service, okay? We have here, I'm seeing here your your workspace with your existing Dataflow Gen1, right?
Yes, is a pro. Is a normal workspace. There is not premium, not Fabric.
Okay, perfect. We can reuse this. We have two options, but I will show you my favorite one, okay? Because right now I can basically enter our.
So you are choosing the first one,
the geography.
To map the missing lines in the dimension.
It was the first scenario that you showed me, so let's start with that.
Okay.
So we have here a simple data flow, right? So we have here a SharePoint folder, and then we will connect our data flow to that and use to extract all of your mapping table.
What you are showing right now was what I love from Gen1. Was the Power Query interface, the diagram to see my flow, the preview of the data, my steps on the right, similar than Power BI Desktop, but with the diagram to see what we are building.
Yes.
Will we have this in the Data Gen2?
Is exactly the same user interface.
Okay.
Okay, so this is our Gen1, but now you have here this export template option. Okay, so we will export this. I will call this geography data flow. I don't think this is important, but I will make sure this is correct.
Okay.
Data flow, okay. Now I have this in my download folder.
Okay, what you exported is a template?
Yes, this is a Power Query template.
Okay, Power Query template.
Exactly. So I will cancel this for now. I will close and I will go to our workspace.
And you are not exporting a new Power Query template for the other one right now. You don't need both.
No. Let's start for this one. We will start with the template, and then we will add more tables to just one data flow.
So if I am understanding correctly, we can start with a template in the first time that we will build the Dataflows Gen2.
Exactly.
Okay, we can start from scratch with a template. Okay.
So in here, this is our workspace, our Fabric workspace. Like I said to you, we already have the lakehouse. So
can you zoom it a little bit only to show what is there already?
Yes, we have here a lakehouse silver, a bronze, and we already have here a pipeline if you want to use to create some refreshment later.
So you have structure that you know that is needed for scenarios with Dataflow Gen2, but not any Gen2 Dataflow is created already, right?
Right now, no.
Okay.
So I didn't create any Dataflow, but we can click in here, but we will see that we don't have the option to Dataflow Gen2, okay? Why? Because in here we are using the Power BI experience. So in this case, we'll only show the Power BI artifacts. So you have to...
That I am already used to.
Okay. Exactly. So, but in this case, we'll change to Data Factory. So
that what was you showed back then that you said that Dataflow Gen2 exists inside Data Factory in Fabric. So we need to change to Data Factory to work with Data Factory artifacts.
Exactly. So in here, we have the Dataflow Gen2 option. And we will see that we have here some options, right? But we have here this one. No, I'm doing this wrong.
Yes.
We have here these options. Import from a Power Query template. That's exactly what we downloaded.
Okay. I understand why. Okay.
So I will use this. I will go to my downloads and I will upload our geography data flow. So
and this is the interface.
This is the interface. Okay.
Okay.
This is exactly the same one, right?
Okay.
So you are seeing all the similarities between them, right?
Yeah.
I only have to check the authentication, okay, because we are,
of course,
creating a new connection. So this will confirm my authentication. I think everything is okay.
So all the steps are the same that we had in Gen 1.
Is the same, exactly same steps.
You are seeing the same diagram. Okay, very nice.
You have here the preview of your data, and now we have here one more piece, right, in our implementation, because we want to write down all this data in the lakehouse.
Okay.
So you have here several options, but in here in our diagram, you have here this option and data destination. So I will.
But we will materialize that data like it is coming from the Excel file?
No, you are right. We have more steps to do, right? Because we want to map inside our data flow all the geography table that we are bringing from the data source.
Okay, so we will be using the data flow so we can transform and do the mapping that we need to have the dimension complete so it can be reused.
Exactly. So in this case, we getting here some folder to put our table for mapping. So for now, I will keep this, and later we will reuse to connect to the geography, right?
Yes. So we can grab the geography, right? So we can have everything together.
Yes. Do you want to connect already with the SQL to bring this?
No. Yes. I believe it's better to have the geography and put it in the correct place.
I didn't create my parameters. I want to create some parameters because in this case, we only have the parameter to the SharePoint folder, but right now we will use a SQL Server connector. And for that, we need the SQL and the database that we will use. So I think the best approach is to create some parameters.
Always, if we change database, if we change sources, we should have have a parameter, so we have a central place to change, not go all the queries to do that.
So this is our server. Then I will create the database. Okay. I will put this inside our parameters folder, and then we can connect to the SQL. Right now, I can use our parameters, database.
Yes.
So,
Understanding, you need to put the credentials.
Basic, that's correct.
Yeah. Don't share passwords, please.
Let's try. So I think I put the right password. I will go next and check my connectivity. You can see here that we are connecting to the data source. It's taking longer than expected because we are in a live session, so it's expected.
Always.
So let's review it while this is.
Okay, so we will grab the geography data,
Mhm.
and what we will do with the Excel.
Why this is happening, Bruno? Why our connection is not working? I will create a new connection right now and check if I put this correctly. I think I'm writing right this. You told me that this will happen, right?
No. Yes, we cannot have both connections with the same. You need to reuse the same one.
Yes, I cannot use this. Are you saying that?
Yes, next.
But
He's grabbing your authentication before. He's playing with us.
just to create more emotion, right?
Yes. So why is not connecting to data source?
It's just a test. If anyone wants to help us, okay. Not providing.
Is correct. So can you tell?
Can I check this?
Can you turn on VPN?
I don't think I need that because I have this. So I think I'm. This is not the password. That's it.
Can you copy the server?
Let me do something just to be more quick. Sorry, guys. I will stop sharing my screen for a second.
Yes, this is human writing that we may be missing.
I want to put this, and I will show you. This is not a secret. It's just to make sure I'm putting the right credentials.
Yeah, let's put in credentials.
Okay. This is very
annoying.
slow. I can show all the things already created just to don't mess up with this. Basic, so where you put the password? Onde é que puseste a password? Okay, I'm seeing. Let's see if I'm. I hope this works.
This is browser cache playing with us.
Server database, I think I'm doing this correct.
The server database are correct.
This is correct. I copy paste it from here. Really? I will share the already created one. This is taking too long. So let's move on. I think we want to continue our ride. So
we'll have a workaround.
We already have these cooks. So I will share in here in our draft. Okay, I will close this. I want to exit. So I will go to our workspace draft and I will show our data flow dimensions. So in here, we have already the server and the database created. I will show what we are trying to do in the other data flow. In this case, we want to bring some data from the database, the SQL database. So we are talking about
something is wrong with your machine. Nothing you can explain. Sorry, guys, we are having a problem with cache or authentication. In the other PC, everything is running as it should be.
Okay, but I think we can talk in here because in this case, we only want to connect to the server and database and select our geography table right now. And in this case, this will serve to staging our data because this is not the final table. We want to merge these, in this case, we want to append all this information with the information that we are bringing from the Excel file. So in this case, you can see that our geography is the append between our geography staging that we are bringing from the SQL database, and then we are appending all the data that we are bringing from the Excel file, the one that we already used in Dataflow.
Yeah. So our geography final, as we were explaining, is an append between the lines that are being mapped manually and the lines that we are bringing from the database. As you saw, we reused Dataflows Gen2, exporting and importing a Power Query template. And then our geography is only having all those lines.
Exactly.
We are materializing this data. You can show it.
Yes, so after we append this, we add the destination in here to Lakehouse. So in this case, we already have this, but if I select and edit, I can try if this don't mess with me again. So in this case, I select the Lakehouse as a destination. I open my workspace and in here I select our Lakehouse Silver because I want to put this directly. We will transform this into Dataflow and put this directly in the end in the Lakehouse.
So the final table with everything for geography, right?
Exactly. Okay. So our table name is geography, and if I put next, the result is that is the one that I already have in here because our data destination for this table is Lakehouse. Okay. These data destinations, I want to remember you that this is table by table. So in this case, we are only putting the data from Lakehouse in the Lakehouse regarding geography table. Okay.
And we are doing the append lines. Right? New lines will be new lines. No, we are not appending lines. So we are truncating and insert each time the table in the
will refresh. Exactly.
In Data Lake.
Just another note, because these two between steps, right? We have here two tables as well, and we create this new one, this one as a new one. But these two tables will be stored in the Lakehouse staging. Remember the object that I showed you?
Yes.
So we'll maintain this in that one. We don't add a new data source destination, a data destination. Only in geography we'll add the lakehouse as a destination.
Okay, I'm seeing a different symbol. Can you zoom it in the geography, please?
Exactly, yes.
Okay, what that means for that table?
So,
because the other ones that are being imported and then joined to have this final table do not have that. That's it. Yes.
This one, right?
Yes. Like a storm.
So this is because
this is a computed because of the computed engine that is working for Dataflows in the warehouse. Okay, so we have two tables that are being imported in a normal way, and then Dataflow Gen2 is using what we saw in the beginning of the session, and we can go, we can think about that we are putting things in the data lake, and we are having the warehouse where Power BI will use the computing agent, right?
Exactly.
To do that, these transformations. Okay.
Yes, the same for the product, okay? Because in the product scenario, we will bring as well our staging product from the SQL database, and then we will reuse the product mapping that you have in your Gen1 data flow, right? And then instead of append, in this scenario, we will merge and create a new column based on the mapping, okay?
Can you select the product mapping? And show the preview of the
for sure. So okay, in this case,
it's only a simple table with the codes and a new column that will be grouping a new level of hierarchy, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay, great.
So in this case, we will bring the product mapping. I want to show you because before I said that are different ways to copy Gen1 data flows, right? Okay. In the first one, we exported template and imported. This is to create a new data flow, but in this case, we want to reuse some tables that we have in a Dataflow Gen1, but instead of exporting a template, because for that we will create a new data flow if we import again, we basically will do something that we already did in Dataflow Gen1 for sure, that is copy paste the table from the Dataflow Gen1 to the Dataflow Gen2.
Okay. So please show, even we are using the
yes, I will show you because I want just to
the cake already cooked and
to the Dataflow Gen1. Let me close because otherwise I didn't want to be able to open this.
Okay.
So I will open the data flow again, the Gen1, the product one, right? Okay. Do you remember?
Yes.
Instead of exporting, I can copy paste this to the other data flow, or for example, I can go to Advanced Editor and copy all of this. And basically, when I go here in Dataflow Gen2, I can add a blank query, for example, and add all our Power Query code, or I can pass in here as well the table that I copy from the other one. So we don't have to redo all the
work. Because if you pass the table in there, you will be grabbing the parameters as well if we are using or other dependencies for the table, right?
So
we don't need to go to Advanced Editor for all the queries.
We already have the connector to the SharePoint folder.
So for us, it would be enough to the Advanced Editor.
Advanced Editor instead of copy, because like you said, if you copy paste the table, all the parameters that are linked will copy as well, and we already have the parameter in here. So all the other tables is very simple. We have a calendar that
so you are bringing all the dimensions, so we will have an end place with all of them. They can be reused.
Exactly. So,
all of them are bringing both from the SQL server.
Yes,
and we are putting
these in the lakehouse as a destination. The same for the calendar to the manufacturer, and then we have the two ones that we work with. Okay, geography and the product.
Okay, and all of them are being truncated and inserted in the lakehouse.
Exactly. So every time this runs, we'll replace all the values that you have in your lakehouse in these tables. So I want to share something.
Can you go to the PowerPoints only to to the what? Can you go to the what? Okay. Not sorry, to the 6. Can you zoom that? Okay, this one, this is what we were explaining, right? Control, yes, control. That when they are building, the data flow will use the lakehouse to storage in the staging and then warehouse to do this computer engine, do the computation advanced and make things work faster and deal with a big amount of data, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so continue.
So just to share some news in Dataflow Gen2 regarding Dataflow Gen1, because if you remember, when you in Gen1 want to edit something or open your Dataflow, it will ask you to publish your report, right? Your Dataflow.
Yes.
So in this scenario, in the Dataflow Gen2, you have the option as well to publish later. This is not showing. Why? This is a possibility to share later. I think you believe in me. You can publish later, and then you don't have to publish this because just an alert. When you publish your data flow, you have some time to process the publication, and then automatically will start a refresh in your workspace. Okay, so be aware of that. Save it later if you don't want to create.
But how can I say what I'm doing?
How can you save it?
Yes.
Clicking here is save later.
Okay, so it's already been saved. It's automatically save everything.
Yes.
Right?
I understand your question. You are right. This autosave, but you can publish later because all of the work that you did until now is somehow
it's saving the metadata, it's saving all our process and our transformation, but it's not importing or run anything, right?
Exactly.
Only if you publish.
Only when you publish this, we have some time to publish the artifacts, and then the refresh will start, and all the data will go directly to the lakehouse.
Okay, because I remember in the Dataflows Gen1, I could decide if I want to refresh or not.
No, in here is automatically, the refresh is automatic, so be aware of that because...
Okay, we publish, we refresh.
Exactly.
And we will need to wait. If we are not done with everything, we should not publish.
Exactly.
Okay.
Is exactly that. So I will just show you.
As we could not be, as we were not able to create a data flow from the start, can we show the default things inside our workspace? This one that has everything.
For sure. I didn't start, but I can publish. Actually, I can publish.
It's published then, so it's only to show as you can filter by data flows. Data flows. So filtering by data flows, you are showing what is created by default when a data flow is created, right? And being managed by all the data flows. Okay.
Exactly. You can see in here all the data flows that we already have. This is a little spoiler alert for the next one, but we have here more than one data flow, and you can see that we only have one staging lakehouse, one staging warehouse, and the other objects by default, the data sets default. Okay. But I want to show you something because in lakehouse staging right now, not in that.
Yes, there is the temp ones that is created, right?
Yes, okay. I want the lakehouse silver where I store my all my data. So I want to show you something because in here you have this option, the new semantic model. Basically, these will use the SQL endpoint. I will not bring the cells. We don't have any cells for now. Forget cells. And as expected, we have some problem.
Okay, so you will not create that.
Not fashion. Okay, let's go. Just to show you that in here we are able to create some relationships between some of these tables, and when we create a report by default, we can use all these relationships.
So we can build a model in here.
Exactly.
Okay. It's not what we are learning today, so it's okay if it's failing as the other thing. I'm very sad we cannot create a data flow, but okay.
Just to sum up, we have here our data flow for dimensions, right? And we have here our parameters, our mapping stage tables, our staging tables, and our final dimensions. So this is the scenario that you described me, right?
Yes, that was a good thing to reuse the Dataflow Gen1. We could take advantage of them, incorporate in our scenario, and I was very happy to see that we could have a central place to put all our dimensions and reuse them to the data sets that we will build, and can have a default data set. That is very nice. The data flow is transforming everything, is importing from a source, is importing from two sources. It could be importing for several sources that would be different, SQL Server, Excel files, other database, and everything working together and be centralized in a different place, right?
Exactly.
It's very fast for this kind of, or not?
For these type of tables, this is very fast. Like I said to you, these are small tables with a few columns. Even if here some rows, we have this very clean. But I want to show you, for example, some statistics about the refresh of the data. For example, I can show in here the refresh history. This is very important to me because this is a new.
This is nicer than the
yes, very
Gen1.
More nicer than
Okay.
Gen1 because in here we have more details. We can see in here the status of our basically our refresh. I can refresh now. I can schedule a refresh.
Okay.
Basically, I think you want to daily refresh our data, so you can set this up in here.
Okay.
Like in
Understood.
the old data flows. But something that I want to show you as well, because in here, if I go again to the refresh history, we'll see that we have here more information than before. You have here for each table the status as well, and we can go inside and see more specific information. Is not that one. Of course, I mess up again with this. This is the dimensions, just to show you the right tables that I'm talking about. All of our mapping, staging, and final tables. For example, in here we have more specific details, and actually you can see the activities that we are doing in here regarding the final tables that we are putting in the lakehouse. Okay, so you can open this and see some activity, and for example, see the process, the volume processed in this integration.
Okay.
Can I jump in for a quick question, Maria and Bruno?
Yes.
So there is a quick question in the chat, like, should the dimension in this data flow end up in Lakehouse or data warehouse as end destination? Or is it Lakehouse for now because of it is still in Silver Lakehouse?
For this specific scenario, you have here the lakehouse already built, right? And this will be used for other tables and other artifacts. So I think there are several solutions to store our data, but our option was to store in lakehouse.
To take advantage also for the direct lake, right, in the data sets.
Exactly, because in that way, like I show you, we can build a semantic model
on top of
the lakehouse. So in that way, we can use the direct lake, for example, and build some reports on top again of the lakehouse, because all of this logic is inside. I hope I answered the question.
Okay. Before we end, and we thank you for your patience because we had that issues connecting to the source. We evolve this scenario, this simple scenario, to
yes, but we will explain very easy.
To a more complex scenario that is having the sales being integrated daily And for that case, we will have a staging lakehouse, like bronze lakehouse, doing that daily increment of sales data, and then pull the data from that lakehouse bronze to lakehouse silver, and have that data inserted every day. That is for scenarios that we have a transactional database. We want to do the refresh in the night for the last day, and we are bringing always a portion of data. So we are bringing raw data to bronze lakehouse, and then lakehouse silver. And
yes.
to do so, we use Dataflow.
Yes, but why it is important right now, and because why we didn't do this in the last demo? Because in this case, the volume of the data is more bigger than the previous one. So in this case, we want to have the stage area that will only bring, like Bruno said, the last date of the last day of data. So in here, the lakehouse will serve to store all the raw data for that day, and then we can do with another data flow some transformations. In this case, it's important to reference that we want to aggregate the information by city. Okay.
Yes.
We will use, and I think is more
Now you can go to the flow, because we won't have time to build that from scratch if we want to keep the time. But we
basically
will use the data flow, right? We will have a pipeline to run all the process that we are using the Dataflow Gen2 to leverage this process and being an important piece of this puzzle to aggregate our data, not to be, for example, by zip code that it was, but by a different level of hierarchy, like city. So, and we can show that data flow, and we will show it in minutes. So you see that and you can continue to explain.
Yes, just to explain, because in here we have more than one data flow. I think it's important to mention that because the first data flow will go to the source and put the information raw in the lakehouse bronze.
So no transformation in the first data flow.
Just the extraction of the last day of data. We'll put this in a raw layer. Then we have another data flow. That's why we have here the pipeline. The pipeline will allow us to create a flow that after the first data flow finish, we'll start the new one. And in this new one, we will read data that already exists in the lakehouse. In there, we will merge the information with the geography dimension, like you said, to make a group of the data by city. And then we'll put again in the lakehouse, but in this time in the silver layer, in a more curated layer, that will have our final table. Then we have here just a trick to show you. But the last data flow, the third one, will allow us to use a feature that we have here as well in the Dataflow Gen2, that is to write down as a final destination in a SQL database. So in this case, we will use this data flow to write down in the source database, your client database,
yes,
the date.
The last date that we run the ETL process, so we know next time from which date we want to bring new data.
Yeah, just a trick. I don't want to spare many time, but I think is just to show that in the sales we have here the logic that we will use to filter the data that we'll bring to raw based on the last load date. Okay, this is something that we will have in the database after the run. We'll have here the last date, load date. So we will use this in the view that will bring all the data to raw in this data flow, in the ingest one. So just to show how this works, we built 3 new data flows, like we explained. The first one is just to put in the lakehouse silver the raw sales. Then we have the new one that basically will bring the geography staging and the sales staging to bring these together
and group by city and not by zip code.
Exactly.
So lose a little bit of detail, reduce the lines, and Dataflow is doing that.
And you can see you have here as well, again, the computer engine working with these two on top of these two tables. And then we will start these in the lakehouse. And the last one basically is to read from the lakehouse the last date that we load, right? And put this in the final destination. You can see here the symbol is different. Instead of a lakehouse, we have here the SQL server because we are write down this information in SQL database.
And for now, as is shared in the as is shared in the chat, we have three different endpoints that we can write data using Dataflows Gen2 that are lakehouse, warehouse, and SQL Server database.
That we don't show in any of these scenarios, the custom database, but we don't use
yes,
in
and
this
the cost.
So
okay, to wrap up this, so we saw two scenarios. A simple one that was to transform and ingest data in the lakehouse. And we saw a second one, a more complex one, a simple ETL, but more complex scenario. The two things that we are sharing are things that we have in place in clients, and sometimes, and we are taking advantage of Dataflow Gen2 to do these kind of things. And we are very amazed with this new feature, and it's still in preview, but we know that it will improve, and we are expecting new power for this data flow to go with the flow. So
yes, just to remember, there are autosave when you are working Dataflows. You can publish later. It's important to know that the publish
will refresh the data.
Do auto refresh. We saw the improved monitor feature that we have in Dataflows. We have the improved computer engine because of the new artifacts like house and warehouse. And then we have the output destinations. The only concern that I have regarding my experience is you have to configure table by table destination. This can be advantage because we can have a data flow that have different destinations outputs, but in many scenarios,
with a lot of tables can be pain to configure all of them.
Great to put all of these tables inside this data flow
for example,
in same lakehouse.
Okay. A limitation that we would want to be to be ended is only the owner can edit the data flow. That should end. That is something like for Gen1.
It's the same thing about Gen1.
For now, no incremental refresh. For now, no direct query, because I believe that it will be for now. No AI inside support. The ghost files are in the workspace, but they don't hurt anyone, and we understand how things are working.
But don't delete them, please.
Because we cannot delete them, but yes, they are very nice with there right now. And data destination lakehouses with unsupported features, some special characters, space, things like that, but that will be resolved before things go to general availability. And we trust that. So yes.